The secret that changed everything. Have you ever carried a secret so heavy that even when you smiled, laughed, or kissed your loved one goodnight, it felt like your chest was cracking from the inside? What if the life you've built for over a decade, the marriage, the family, the routine that looks so perfect from the outside, was hiding a truth so dangerous, so forbidden, that if it ever came out, it could burn everything down in a single night? This is my story. My name is Daniel. I'm 36 years old, and I've been married for 12 years. If you met me at a barbecue or at the grocery store, you'd probably call me a family man. My wife, Claire, is the kind of woman who makes heads turn when she walks into a room, confident, graceful, and with a laugh that makes people want to stay a little longer. Together, we've built a life that looks solid. A house in the suburbs, dinner with friends on weekends, the occasional vacation where we pose for smiling pictures, pretending the world is perfect. But perfection is a lie. Behind closed doors, there's something I've never told her, something I never told anyone. For years, buried under routine and responsibility, I've carried a curiosity, an itch that wouldn't go away. I've always been straight, or at least that's what I told myself. Married young, devoted to my wife, trying to be the husband society expects me to be. But in the dark corners of my mind, I wondered, what would it feel like to be with a man? To cross that invisible line society draws and taste the thing everyone says is forbidden. I thought it would stay just a fantasy, a thought I could shove back into the shadows. Until one night, it didn't. It happened almost a year ago. A business trip, a hotel bar, too much whiskey, and a stranger with eyes that lingered longer than they should have. His name? I never caught it, or maybe I just didn't want to remember. Because names make things real. I can still feel the heat of that night in my skin. The way my heart pounded with fear and thrill. The way I told myself, just once. Just this one time, and then you'll forget it. But how do you forget the first time you finally taste the thing you've been craving for years? I didn't. I couldn't. It felt terrifyingly good. So good that when it was over, I sat there in the dark hotel room, chest heaving, staring at the ceiling, and whispering to myself, "What have you done?" The next morning, I buttoned my shirt, kissed my wife when I got home, and told her the trip went fine. She had no idea. She still doesn't. But secrets have a way of clawing out of the shadows. Last month, we were sitting on the couch watching a show called The Hunting Wives. It was one of those nights where we joked around, throwing comments back and forth. Claire asked me, half teasing, "What if I cheated on you with a girl? Would that count?" I laughed, trying to play it cool. "I guess it'd be the same as me cheating on you with a man." Her smile vanished. Her eyes hardened. She said, "That's not funny, Daniel." I brushed it off, changed the subject. But inside, I froze. Did she see through me? Did she sense the truth behind my joke? And here's where the story sharpens into a blade. Because the truth is, I want to do it again. Not with just anyone. No. I want the experience, the thrill, the rawness of it. I want to be taken again, only this time. Bigger, rougher, more intense. But here's the nightmare. I'm married. To a woman I still love in ways I can't explain. A woman who trusts me, who believes in the man she thinks I am. So, what do? Do I keep burying the secret, hoping it doesn't rip me apart from the inside? Do I risk destroying everything we've built for a moment of pleasure? Or, do I take the risk, knowing that if Claire ever finds out, it won't just break her heart, it'll burn down our entire life? This is where my story begins. A secret affair, a forbidden desire, and the slow unraveling of a marriage that was supposed to last forever. Because once you taste the forbidden fruit, how do you ever stop craving it? Marriage is like glass. From far away, it looks solid, unbreakable, smooth. But up close, the cracks start to show. Small ones at first, barely visible. Then, under enough pressure, those cracks widen until the whole thing shatters. For Claire and me, the cracks started long before that hotel night. She and I met when we were in our early 20s. Back then, everything felt effortless. She was radiant, full of fire, and I was the man who couldn't believe someone like her would even look my way. We spent nights driving with the windows down, music blasting, her hand resting on mine across the center console. We promised each other forever, without really knowing what forever meant. And for a while, it worked. We built a home. We hosted friends. We laughed over burnt pancakes on Sunday mornings. But then came the routines. Work, bills, responsibilities. Somewhere between the car rides and the candlelit dinners, the spark dimmed. Don't get me wrong, I loved her. I still do. But love is complicated. Sometimes it feels like fire. Other times it feels like duty. And when passion fades into predictability, that's when the dangerous thoughts slip in. That's when the itch started. I remember lying in bed next to Claire, scrolling mindlessly on my phone while she dozed off. A video would pop up, two men, touching, exploring each other with the kind of hunger I hadn't felt in years. My pulse would quicken, my throat would dry. I'd tell myself, it's just curiosity, just fantasy. Then I'd shut my phone off, kiss her forehead, and pretend everything was normal. But the fantasy grew teeth. The night at the hotel wasn't an accident. It was a build-up of years of suppressed curiosity, years of pretending to be someone I wasn't. When that stranger looked at me like he knew exactly what I wanted, I didn't resist. I gave in, and I don't regret the pleasure. I regret how easily I lied about it afterward. Claire doesn't know any of this. To her, I'm still Daniel, the husband, the provider, the man who makes coffee in the morning and takes out the trash. But sometimes when she looks at me, I wonder, can she sense the distance? There was one moment that still haunts me. It was a Saturday afternoon, a rare day when neither of us had plans. We were sitting on the porch, drinking iced tea, watching the neighborhood kids ride bikes. Out of nowhere, Claire asked, "Do you ever feel like we've changed too much? Like we're not the same people we used to be?" Her eyes searched mine, vulnerable, almost pleading. I swallowed hard. Everyone changes, Claire. That's just life. She smiled faintly, but it didn't reach her eyes. And in that instant, I wanted to scream the truth. Yes, we've changed. I've changed. I'm not the man you think I am. But the words stuck in my throat. Because once spoken, they can't be unsaid. And so, I stayed silent. But silence is dangerous. Because while my lips stayed shut, my mind grew louder. At night, when Claire curled against me in bed, I thought about rougher hands, deeper voices, the way it felt to surrender control. When she kissed me, I wondered what it would be like if someone else kissed me instead. And the more I tried to push those thoughts away, the stronger they became. It's like standing on the edge of a cliff. You know the drop will kill you, but something about the fall is irresistible. And then came the joke, the moment I let the mask slip. That night on the couch, watching The Hunting Wives, when she asked if cheating with a girl would count, I should have laughed it off. I should have teased her back, or brushed it aside. But instead, I blurted, "I guess it'd be the same if I cheated on you with a man." The words tasted like truth and poison all at once. Her reaction was instant, her smile gone, her body stiff. She stared at me, her eyes narrowing as if trying to read my soul. "That's not funny, Daniel." And maybe, in that split second, she saw something. Maybe she felt the crack beneath the glass. But she didn't press. She didn't ask. She just turned back to the TV, lips pressed thin, as if the moment never happened. But I can't shake it. Because if one little joke rattled her that much, what would the truth do? And here's the worst part. I don't want to stop. I want more. I want to feel it again. The heat, the power, the forbidden thrill. Only this time, I don't want it to be a fleeting accident in a hotel room. I want to seek it out. I want something bigger, stronger, darker. I know the risk. I know the cost. But desire doesn't care about consequences. The cracks are widening. And soon, something's going to break. They say temptation whispers. That it's a quiet voice you can ignore if you're strong enough. But that's a lie. Temptation doesn't whisper. It roars. It sinks its claws into your chest and pulls until resistance feels like suffocation. And for me, that roar grew louder with every passing week. I tried to bury myself in routine. Wake up, make coffee, go to work, come home, kiss Claire, eat dinner, go to bed. The pattern of a good husband, a stable man. But in the quiet moments, when Claire was asleep, or when I sat alone in my car before walking inside, I could feel it. The hunger, the need. It wasn't just about sex. It was about the feeling of stepping outside the cage of my own life. That hotel night hadn't just been about lust, it was freedom. And now, back in my suburban home, surrounded by beige walls and family photos, I felt trapped again. One night, I made the mistake of scrolling online. I told myself it was just curiosity, nothing more. I found chat rooms, forums, even apps where men met in secret. I didn't sign up. I didn't message anyone, but I scrolled, and I imagined Claire must have sensed something was off because she started watching me differently. Not in an obvious way, just little glances, quick flickers of suspicion. One night, she asks, "Are you happy, Daniel, with us?" The question was a knife. I smiled, forced, and kissed her hand. "Of course I am. Why would you ask that?" She shrugged. "I don't know. You've just been distant lately." Distant. That word echoed in my skull. Because she was right. But how could I tell her the truth? How could I look into the eyes of the woman who trusted me with her life and confess that every time she touched me, I wished it was someone else? That I was addicted to a secret I couldn't share. So I lied. Again, the lie worked. For now. She smiled, let it go. But deep down, I knew the distance wasn't just in her imagination. It was growing, stretching between us like a canyon. And then temptation took physical form. It was a Thursday. I was at the gym, trying to burn off the restlessness that had been eating me alive. That's when I noticed him. Tall, broad shoulders, a body sculpted from hours of discipline. He caught me staring in the mirror, and instead of looking away, he smirked. That smirk burned into me. After that, I kept seeing him. At the gym, at the juice bar nearby. Once, even at the grocery store. Each time, he gave me that same look, the kind that says, "I know what you want." Did he know? Was I that obvious? I told myself I was imagining it, that it was coincidence. But temptation doesn't deal in coincidences. It deals in opportunities. One night, after a workout, I found myself lingering longer than usual. He was there, finishing his set, sweat glistening down his neck. I wanted to leave. I should have left, but my feet wouldn't move. He caught my eyes in the mirror again. This time, he walked over. "You're here a lot," he said casually, his voice low, smooth. "Yeah," I muttered, suddenly aware of how dry my throat was. "You train hard. Respect." He gave a nod, then grabbed his bag and left. That was it. Nothing more. No numbers exchanged. No invitation. Just a few words. But those words lit a fire. For the rest of the night, I couldn't stop replaying it. His voice. His presence. The possibility of what could happen if I let the cracks widen just a little more. Back home, Claire was waiting at the kitchen table, scrolling through her phone. She looked up, smiled softly. "You're late." "Lost track of time," I said, kissing her cheek. She smelled like home, vanilla and warmth. But as I wrapped my arms around her, all I could think about was the stranger's smirk at the gym. And that's when the guilt hit me like a freight train. How could I stand here, holding the woman who's given me everything, and crave someone else? How could I smile at her, laugh with her, eat dinner with her, while secretly fantasizing about betraying her all over again? The cracks in the glass were no longer small. They were spreading, spider webbing across every part of our marriage. And I knew it was only a matter of time before the pressure made everything shatter. But here's the dangerous truth. Sometimes, when something is about to shatter, a part of you wants to see it break. The guilt didn't silence the hunger. If anything, it made it worse. Every time I looked at Claire, every time I saw the trust in her eyes, I felt a storm inside me. Part of me wanted to confess, rip the truth out and let the pieces fall where they may. But the other part, the darker part, whispered, "Don't ruin this. Just be careful, keep it hidden, no one has to know." That whisper won, but secrets always demand space. They push at the walls of your life until cracks appear. And one night, those cracks almost split open. It was late. Claire had gone to bed early, and I found myself alone on the couch, scrolling again. Forums, apps, places I had no business being. I wasn't talking to anyone, not yet, but I was close. Too close. Then I heard it. Daniel. Her voice, soft but sharp, sliced through the silence. My heart jumped as I fumbled to lock my phone and set it down. She stood in the doorway, hair messy from sleep, eyes heavy but curious. "What are you doing?" she asked. I forced a smile. Couldn't sleep. Just scrolling. She tilted her head, searching my face. For a moment, I thought she knew, that she could see the truth glowing on my skin. But then she nodded slowly. "Don't stay up too late, okay?" "Yeah," I whispered. She turned, went back upstairs. And I sat there in the dark, my pulse thundering, phone burning in my hand like a loaded gun. That was the first near miss. The second came a week later. I was at the gym again, and he was there, the stranger with the smirk. His presence was magnetic, pulling me in like gravity. We crossed paths near the lockers. He nodded, casual, confident. "You train evenings a lot?" he asked. "Yeah," I said, my voice steadier than I felt. "Me too." He paused, then added, "Maybe we'll run into each other again." That line, simple, harmless to anyone else, hit me like a jolt. It wasn't just small talk. It was an opening, a door left slightly ajar. And God help me, I wanted to walk through it. That night, back home, Claire was cooking pasta, humming to herself. She looked so at peace, so untouched by the war raging inside me. And all I could think was, if she knew, if she ever knew. I tried to shake it off. I wrapped my arms around her from behind, kissed her neck, told her she smelled amazing. She laughed, playfully swatting me away with a spoon. For a moment, everything felt normal. But normal was a lie, because even as I held her, I was thinking about someone else. Imagining hands on me that weren't hers. The third near miss came when I made the mistake of pushing too far. I downloaded an app, just to look, I told myself. Just curiosity. I didn't upload a photo, didn't put my name, just browsed. But within minutes, messages started coming in. Some crude, some blunt, some tempting. I stared at the screen, thumb hovering. My chest aches with the desire to respond, to say yes, to set something up. But then, behind me, I heard Claire's footsteps. I panicked, shutting the app, tossing the phone aside just as she walked in. "What are you up to?" she asked, carrying a basket of laundry. "Work emails," I lied smoothly. She nodded, distracted, and set the basket down. But my heart didn't slow until long after she left the room. That was too close. And yet, even after nearly being caught 3 times, I couldn't stop. Because the hunger wasn't just for sex. It was for escape, for the thrill of stepping outside the cage of my own life. The more I resisted, the more it consumed me. At night, I lay awake next to Claire, staring at the ceiling, hearing my own thoughts whisper like sirens. Just once more. "You need it. You deserve it. She'll never know." But deep down, I knew the truth. Secrets don't stay secrets forever. And mine was on the verge of exploding. There's a moment, right before you make a terrible decision, where your whole body screams at you to stop. Your chest tightens, your palms sweat, your instincts beg you to turn around. But then, something stronger takes over. Desire. And once desire grips you, logic doesn't stand a chance. It was a Friday night when the line finally blurred beyond recognition. Claire had plans with her sister. Dinner, drinks, catching up. That meant I had the house to myself. I told myself I'd relax, order takeout, watch a movie, pretend everything was fine, but the silence was suffocating. I picked up my phone, opened that app again. This time, I didn't just scroll. I responded. One message, then another. It felt reckless, dangerous, exhilarating. Like standing on train tracks with a train racing toward me. That's when I saw him. The gym stranger. His profile picture was subtle, but unmistakable. The same smirk, the same confidence. My heart pounded as I stared at the screen. He messaged first, "So it's you." I froze. My thumb hovered over the keyboard. This was it, the point of no return. Finally, I typed back, "Yeah." A beat passed. Then, "Thought so. Been waiting for you to show up here." My pulse thundered. My mouth was dry. This wasn't fantasy anymore. This was real. We exchanged words that weren't really words. Short, direct, loaded. "You free tonight?" he asked. My chest ached. My body screamed no. My heart screamed yes. And before I could think, I typed, "Yes." We agreed on a place. Not a hotel this time. His apartment. The moment I hit send, dread slammed into me. What the hell was I doing? Claire was out for the night, but what if something happened? What if she came home early? What if? But the hunger drowned out the fear. I grabbed my keys. The drive over was a blur of headlights and pounding thoughts. My hands gripped the steering wheel so tight my knuckles turned white. I kept telling myself to turn back, to stop, to go home. But every time I thought about stopping, I pictured him waiting, wanting, and I couldn't stop. When I pulled up to his building, I sat in the car for a full 5 minutes, staring at the entrance. My heart was racing so hard I thought it might give out. Then my phone buzzed. "You hear? One last chance to back out. One last chance to save everything." I typed, "Yes." And just like that, the line was crossed. I walked inside. He was waiting at the door. Taller than I remembered. Stronger. The smirk was gone, replaced by something darker. Hungrier. "Didn't think he'd actually come," he said, voice low. "I shouldn't have," I whispered. "Maybe not," he said, stepping closer, "but you did." The air between us crackled. My chest tightened. My hands trembled. And then, contact. It was everything I remembered, and more. The thrill. The surrender. The forbidden fire tearing through me. But under it all, guilt. Heavy, crushing guilt. Even in the heat of it, flashes of Claire's face cut through my mind. Her laugh. Her trust. Her eyes. And for the first time, I wondered, was this hunger worth the price I was about to pay? When it was over, I sat in his apartment, chest heaving, drenched in sweat and shame. "You okay?" he asked, casual, almost amused. I nodded weakly. "Yeah, just needed this." But inside, I was unraveling. On the drive home, the guilt was suffocating. I gripped the wheel, heart pounding, replaying every second. Every kiss, every touch, every betrayal. When I pulled into the driveway, Claire's car was already there. My stomach dropped. She wasn't supposed to be home yet. I walked in, trying to steady my breath. She was in the living room, curled up with a blanket, scrolling through her phone. She looked up, smiled faintly. "Hey, you're home." My throat tightened. "Yeah, just went for a drive." She nodded, unbothered. "Everything okay?" I forced a smile. "Yeah, everything's fine." But nothing was fine, because I had just crossed the line. And once you cross it, there's no going back. The morning after, everything felt wrong. Claire was making coffee in the kitchen, humming to herself, but to me her voice sounded like an alarm. Every clink of the mug, every pour of water, every small sound, it all scraped against my nerves like nails on glass. I couldn't look her in the eye. When she handed me my mug, our fingers touched, and I nearly flinched. Did she notice? Did she feel the guilt radiating off me? "Rough night?" she asked casually, taking a sip of her own coffee. "Yeah," I muttered. "Didn't sleep well." She studied me for a moment, too long. Then she nodded, letting it go. But the truth is, I was unraveling. Every smile felt fake. Every word tasted like a lie. At work, I stared blankly at my computer screen, replaying the night over and over. At home, I avoided her gaze, terrified she would see through me. And then the cracks started showing. It was small at first. Forgetting things she told me. Snapping at her when I didn't mean to. Staring too long at my phone, scrolling mindlessly, trying to distract myself from the guilt. One evening, she finally said it. "Daniel," she whispered, her voice soft but steady. "Are you hiding something from me?" The words hit me like a bullet. I forced a laugh. "What? No. Why would you think that?" She didn't laugh. She just looked at me, really looked. Her eyes were searching, peeling back the layers, trying to find the truth. "You've been distant," she said quietly. "Different. I don't know. It feels like you're here, but not really here." My chest tightened. How do you answer that? How do you admit that the woman who shared your bed for 12 years is right, that your body is home, but your mind is somewhere else, with someone else? So I lied again. "I'm just stressed from work," I said. "That's all. I promise." Her eyes softened, just a little. She wanted to believe me. God, she needed to believe me. And I let her, but the distance between us grew, because once you've stepped outside the lines, you can't color neatly inside them again. I was split in two, the husband she thought I was, and the man I was becoming. The man who couldn't stop craving more, because here's the truth I didn't want to face. That night at his apartment didn't quench the hunger. It fed it. It made me want it again and again. And every time I saw him at the gym after that, the tension grew thicker. A nod, a glance, a smirk, silent acknowledgments of a secret only we shared. But secrets aren't invisible. They leave traces. One Saturday afternoon, Claire was folding laundry while I was on my phone, pretending to scroll through sports updates. I didn't hear her walk up behind me until she spoke. "Who are you texting?" My stomach dropped. I quickly locked the screen. "Nobody. Just checking scores." Her eyes narrowed. She didn't argue, didn't press. But the suspicion lingered in her gaze like a shadow. That was the moment I knew she was watching me, waiting for me to slip. And it terrified me, but at the same time, part of me wanted it, because the burden of carrying this secret was crushing me. Every kiss felt like betrayal. Every laugh felt like a lie. Every "I love you" tasted bitter in my mouth. Sometimes, late at night, I'd stare at her while she slept, my chest aching with guilt and longing. I wanted to shake her awake and scream, "I'm not who you think I am. I'm not the man you married." But I stayed silent, because silence was easier, safer, until it wasn't. One night, while lying in bed, Claire whispered into the darkness, "Daniel, if you ever cheated on me, would you tell me?" My blood ran cold. She wasn't joking this time. Her voice was too soft, too fragile. She was asking because she felt it, because she knew something was wrong. I swallowed hard, forcing my voice to stay steady. "Of course I would, but I never would. You know that." Silence. She didn't respond. She just lay there, staring at the ceiling. And in that silence, I felt the glass of our marriage tremble, the cracks spreading wider and wider. It wouldn't take much. One slip, one mistake, one trace of evidence, and everything would come crashing down. There's a kind of paranoia that comes with keeping secrets. Every sound feels suspicious. Every glance feels loaded. Every silence feels like a trap. And that's where I was living now, trapped inside my own lies. Claire had gone from asking gentle questions to watching me more closely. Little things, the way her eyes lingered when I picked up my phone, the way she studied me when I came home late from the gym, the way her smile didn't quite reach her eyes anymore. She didn't need to say it. I could feel it. She was circling closer to the truth. And still, I couldn't stop. The hunger had taken root. What started as curiosity had become obsession. Late-night drives, secret messages, moments stolen in places where no one would think to look. It was dangerous, reckless, and it was only a matter of time before everything collapsed. The breaking point came on a night that started like any other. Claire was in the kitchen, cooking dinner. The smell of garlic and onions filled the house. I sat at the table, pretending to scroll through my phone, when a notification flashed across the screen. A message. From him. My blood froze. I quickly flipped the phone over, heart pounding. But it was too late. Claire noticed. "Who's that?" she asked, her voice calm, too calm. "Work," I said quickly. "Just emails." She turned back to the stove, but I saw it, the flicker in her eyes, the tightening of her jaw. Suspicion had sharpened into something harder, something dangerous. That night, after dinner, she sat across from me at the table. No TV, no distractions, just us. "Daniel," she said, her voice steady, "I need you to be honest with me. Are you seeing someone? The words hit me like a blade. My throat closed. My chest burned. For a split second, I almost told her everything. Almost let it all spill out. The hotel, the stranger, the gym, the hunger I couldn't shake. But fear won. No, I said, forcing the word out. Of course not. Why would you think that? Her eyes searched mine. Long, deep, like she was trying to pull the truth out of me with sheer willpower. Finally, she leaned back, exhaling. I don't know. I just feel like you're not here with me anymore. Her voice cracked, just slightly. And that crack went straight through me. I wanted to reach across the table, grab her hands, tell her I loved her, that everything would be okay. But the words caught in my throat. Because the truth was, I didn't know if everything would be okay. The walls were closing in. The guilt was suffocating. The hunger was relentless. And Claire's suspicion was turning into certainty. And then, the twist. A week later, I came home late from the gym. Claire was sitting on the couch, arms folded, phone in hand. I called your work today, she said calmly. My stomach dropped. You said you've been staying late because of projects. But your boss said you've been leaving on time. Every day. My chest tightened. My vision blurred. She had me cornered. I opened my mouth to speak, but no words came. Her eyes filled with tears, not anger, not yet, but something worse. Hurt. Daniel, she whispered, her voice breaking. Please, tell me the truth. The room spun. My heart pounded. Every lie, every secret, every hidden message was crashing down around me. And in that moment, I realized something terrifying. The secret wasn't mine anymore. It was hers too, and she wasn't going to let it stay buried. Silence. Heavy, unbearable silence. Claire sat across from me on the couch, eyes locked on mine. No escape. No excuses. No more lies. I swallowed hard, my mouth dry, my heartbeat loud in my ears. I don't know what to say, I whispered. Then say the truth, she shot back, her voice trembling but firm. Because I can't live like this anymore, Daniel. I can't live wondering who you are when you walk out that door. Her words sliced through me, sharper than any blade. I'd rehearsed this moment in my head so many times. Imagine telling her. Imagine the tears, the anger, the disgust. But nothing could have prepared me for the real thing, her eyes begging for honesty while my lies clung to me like chains. I closed my eyes, drew in a shaky breath, and let the dam break. I cheated, I said. The words felt foreign, ugly, poisonous. Claire flinched, her hand covering her mouth. Her silence was worse than shouting. Worse than anything. With a man, I continued, my voice breaking. It wasn't planned. It just happened, and I can't explain it. I've always wondered, always been curious. And when it happened, it felt. Stop. Her voice cracked like a whip. Tears welled in her eyes, but she refused to let them fall. You don't get to tell me it felt anything, she said, her voice trembling with rage. You don't get to romanticize it. You betrayed me, Daniel. You betrayed our marriage. Her words were a knife twisting deeper and deeper. I'm sorry, I whispered, the words feeling useless, empty. I didn't mean to hurt you. I just didn't mean to hurt me, she snapped. You slept with someone else. You lied to my face. You've been sneaking around for months. Do you have any idea what that's done to me? Her voice broke then, and the tears finally came, running down her cheeks in hot, silent rivers. I wanted to hold her, to wipe them away, but I knew I'd lost the right. You could have talked to me, she whispered. You could have told me what you were feeling. Instead, you destroyed everything. I buried my face in my hands. The weight of her words crushed me. I thought about it, I said, my voice muffled. So many times. But how do you say that to your wife? How do you admit something like that? I was scared. Scared you'd leave. Scared you'd hate me. She laughed bitterly through her tears. And what do you think this is, Daniel? You think I don't hate you now? The room went silent again, except for her quiet sobs. For a long moment, neither of us moved. Finally, she stirred. Her shoulders were shaking, her face pale. I need space, she said, her voice low. I can't even look at you right now. And then she was gone. Up the stairs, door slamming shut. I sat there, frozen. The house felt cavernous, empty, broken. And for the first time since this whole thing began, I wasn't thinking about the hunger. I wasn't thinking about the secret thrill. I was thinking about what I just destroyed. My marriage, my best friend, the woman who had built her life around me. And the worst part, I wasn't sure if it was fixable. The next morning, the house felt like a graveyard. Claire didn't come down for breakfast. She didn't kiss me goodbye. She didn't even text me at work. Her silence was louder than any word she could have spoken. I moved through the day like a ghost, replaying everything over and over. The look in her eyes, the way her voice broke, the sound of the door slamming, and underneath it all, terror. Was this the end? When I came home that night, her suitcase was by the door. My heart nearly stopped. Claire, my voice cracked as I stepped into the living room. She was sitting on the couch, hands folded in her lap, face pale but resolute. I'm going to my sister's for a while, she said quietly. The words hit me harder than a punch. Claire, please. She shook her head, her eyes glistening. I can't breathe in this house, Daniel. Every time I look at you, I see it. I see him. I see everything you did. I don't even know who you are anymore. Her voice was steady, but I could hear the pain underneath. I dropped to my knees in front of her, my hands trembling as I reached for hers. She didn't pull away, but she didn't hold on either. I'm still me, I whispered desperately. I made a mistake, a horrible mistake, but I still love you. I don't want to lose you. Please, don't go. She finally looked at me then, really looked at me. And what I saw in her eyes terrified me more than anger ever could. Emptiness. You didn't just cheat on me, Daniel, she said softly. You cheated on us, on everything we built, on every promise you ever made. How do we come back from that? I had no answer. She stood, pulling her hands from mine, and grabbed the suitcase. I followed her to the door, panic clawing at my chest. Claire, wait, please. I'll do anything. Therapy, counseling, whatever it takes. Just don't walk away. Her hand froze on the doorknob. For a moment, hope flickered. Then she whispered the words that shattered me completely. I don't know if I want to fix this. And with that, she opened the door and stepped out into the night. The silence that followed was deafening. I sank to the floor, staring at the empty space where she had stood, the echo of her words still ringing in my ears. I wanted to scream, to punch something, to run back to the beginning and make a different choice. But time doesn't work like that. The hunger that had once felt intoxicating now felt like poison. I thought I was chasing freedom. Instead, I'd destroyed the one thing that truly mattered. And the worst part, I didn't know if I'd ever get it back. The days after Claire left blurred into each other. The house felt colder, emptier, like the walls themselves were grieving. Her absence was everywhere, in the empty side of the bed, in the silent kitchen, in the way I reached for my phone and realized there was no, "How's your day going?" waiting for me. I had traded 12 years of love for a few stolen moments. And now I was paying the price. I tried calling. She didn't answer. I sent messages, apologies, promises, please, but the screen stayed dark. Each unanswered message was another nail in the coffin of our marriage. And then, one night, she finally replied, "We need to talk." The next day, we met at a quiet cafe. I walked in, nervous, sweating, my heart pounding. She was already there, sitting by the window, her face calm but unreadable. "Claire," I whispered, sliding into the seat across from her. She didn't smile, didn't reach for my hand. She just looked at me, her eyes steady. "I've been thinking," she said softly, "about us, about everything." My throat tightened, and she took a deep breath. "I don't hate you, Daniel. I wish I did. It would make this easier. But I don't. I still love you. That's what makes this so hard." Tears burned my eyes. "Then let's fight for this. Please, Claire. I'll do anything. I'll go to therapy. I'll tell you everything. No more secrets." She shook her head slowly. "It's not just about what you did. It's about what it means. You've been hiding a part of yourself from me for years, a part you weren't brave enough to share. And I don't know if I can trust someone who hides who they are." Her words cut deep because they were true. I had spent years burying my curiosity, pretending it didn't exist. And when it finally came out as destruction. "I don't know who I am anymore," I admitted, my voice breaking. "All I know is I don't want to lose you." For the first time, her eyes softened. She reached across the table, her fingers brushing mine. "Maybe you need to find out who you are before you can be with anyone," she whispered. The words landed like a verdict. We sat in silence after that, our hands barely touching, both of us knowing the truth neither wanted to say. This wasn't the end of love, but it might be the end of us. When we finally stood to leave, she kissed me on the cheek, gentle, lingering, final. And then she walked away. I watched her go, my chest hollow, my reflection in the cafe window staring back at me, an empty mirror. For the first time in my life, I was forced to face the question I had spent years avoiding. Who am I really? And was the hunger worth the cost?